Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Lagarde, we carefully compounded the official inflation data and real GDP growth over the past 20 years. And this calculation suggests that price inflation is about 60% for the last 20 years, according to the ECB official figures. However, when we consider the changes in the basket of goods, which is adjusted for valid reasons periodically, but also potentially allows for manipulation, the actual inflation seems 90 to 120%. The compounded yearly inflation data published by the ECB with real price changes during this period shows that inflation has likely been consistently underreported. As anyone can observe, prices have risen more than 60% over the last 2 decades. Underreporting inflation and overstating GDP growth could create favorable conditions for financial markets with lower interest for capital. But this comes to a cost to the public as inflation erodes purchasing power. And 2 questions. First, how reliable are the yearly inflation figures the ECB publishes? And second, does the ECB have internal data that suggests higher inflation than what is officially reported? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Laikova, for your question. But to my knowledge, in order to calculate inflation, we rely on the Eurostat numbers. And they apply to all European institutions. I don't think that I agree with your statement that it would be biased or miscalculated or inflated or deflated one way or the other. But all I know is that we work on the basis of Eurostat numbers. I'll give you one, it's a bit of a little story, but there is one category of numbers where we try to sort of look under the skin of numbers, and those are, with all due respect to Ireland, the Irish numbers. In particular in relation to growth, not so much in relation to inflation. And this is so because there is quite a large movement of intellectual property and rights and license fees as a result of intellectual property that tend to sometimes distort a little bit what is regarded as the regular fundamental numbers of the growth of the Irish economy. And I think that particular indices was designed by the Irish National Central Bank. To my knowledge, that's the only area where, without moving away from the Eurostat number, we try to inform ourselves a bit better by having this specific element.